everyone, I hope you and your family are safe and well. So I'm feeling a little playful today, so I've decided to take my mid-range gaming build that has been the subject of 2 of my videos now this year and totally break its budget constraints. I'm not entirely sure yet what I'm going to do with it, but I don't want to have anything non-essential delivered, so I'm only going to be using the parts that I already own. But before that, let's remove this Activate Windows 10 watermark thanks to this video sponsor SCDkey. If you use the link in the description down below and you enter the discount code TPC at checkout, you'll save yourself an additional 15% off an OEM Windows 10 key. The key is delivered immediately and then you just search for Activate on your PC and input the code there, and the watermark is gone. Now back to the video. I really like this case, but it doesn't allow for vertically mounted GPUs. So the first thing on my to-do list is to install this Cooler Master vertical mount. The problem though is that the 220T has these little metal bars between the PCI slot covers that would block the GPU's ports. There are other vertical mounts that you can buy that avoid this issue altogether, but this is the one that I have, which means that it's case modding time. But before that, I'm just going to remove the rest of these components. So I'm just marking where I want to cut the little metal bars. It might turn out better to remove the entire bar rather than just the bit where the GPU will go, but I can always remove more later, but I can't add it back on once it's gone, so I'm playing it safe for now. Then I just Dremeled them out. I did find it surprisingly easy, thanks to being able to line up my cart and rest the Dremel on the case in a good place for each cart. I could see myself doing this exact mod on other cases in the future. I know that Cable Mod makes a mount that uses special cables that fit through the bars, but I'd rather make it a permanent change and then be able to access the ports as you usually would. I don't see this as being something I want to revert. If you think that you might need to use additional PCI slots in the future for other cards, then honestly you probably shouldn't be spending money on a vertical mount in the first place. Once one side had been cut, the other side was slightly more challenging because the bar would vibrate. I did think about getting a piece of wood or something to kind of press against the bars, but it really wasn't an issue in the end. Some cases do have a couple of vertical slots in between the horizontal slots and the side panel, but in my opinion you shouldn't use those unless you're water cooling. Having an air-cooled card that close to the panel tends to increase its temps and therefore decrease your FPS, so it probably is better to go this route even if you do have those slots. Next, I filed down the edges a little. I've had these files for years now and haven't used them up until now, and honestly I have no idea how to use them, but the cuts were a little cleaner and less sharp when I was done, so I think I did it right. And yeah, this is how it looks now. There's a nice gap for display cables to go through. I was going to add some electrical tape to the ends of the bars, but I don't actually think that's needed. So I'm going to stick with the Ryzen 5 3600X CPU and the Intel 660p NVMe SSD that were in this build originally, but I've never really liked the colour theme of the B450 Gaming Plus Max motherboard. I originally wanted a Tomahawk, but unfortunately they were out of stock at the time. What I do have though is an Asus Corsair 6 Hero. This is X370, so a first gen Ryzen chipset, but it should still support 3rd gen chips once it's had its BIOS updated. This has a much better colour theme and should fit the system nicely. The Seasonic power supply that was in this build before was perfect for the budget at the time, but I'm going to swap it out for my Bitfinex Fury because it's more efficient, has higher wattage, and of course I have my complete set of individually sleeved Bitfinex Alchemy 2.0 white and black cables for it, which I absolutely love and have used in so many videos now that you've no doubt seen them before. But yeah, I also decided to install the power supply fan face up because I think that being able to see the fan through the grill looks much better than seeing the label side through the grill does. So strictly speaking, you're not supposed to mix different fans on a single iCue hub, but I'm hoping to make use of the free spare Corsair light loop 120 fans that I have, and fingers crossed it will work out okay, especially as I plan to stick with static colours. So I'm installing one of these as the rear exhaust. Now, I was a total wally and did something very silly while trying to cable manage this fan's cable. I got my pinky finger stuck in the motherboard's heatsink cover, trying to push the CAN cable through it. I then had to completely disassemble the build with one hand to get my finger free. Thankfully, my camera stopped recording during this, but in the end I did get the cable to run through the cover, and I do think it looks nice, so all's well that ends well. So for the CPU cooling, I'm doing something that many of you are going to have very strong feelings about. So please let me know all about it in the comment section below, as that will help my video's engagement. Thank you. So I'm using a noctua heatsink, but with those Corsair RGB fans. I know it's sacrilege, but yeah. So this will still perform better than the Hyper 212 that was in here before, and I really think that the silver and black look will fit the build, and when the system is switched off, the frosted fan blades are close enough to white that they do match the white case really nicely. I have to say, I was a little surprised when Noctua released black versions of their actual heatsinks, as I didn't think that anyone had a problem with the silver heatsinks. I thought it was just the colour of the fans. I do think that it would be cool if Noctua started selling everything individually, especially since they now have white fans in the works. So you might want like white fans with a black heatsink, or black fans with a silver heatsink, for example. Now originally I wanted to use my RTX 2080 Ti Duke in this build, but it doesn't fit in the case. It hits the front fans, which is super annoying because it would have gone so nicely with the build. So onto plan B, the Founders Edition 2080 Ti instead, which, to be fair, as far as plan B's go, is a pretty good one. And especially the black and silver will match the cooler very well. So the 2080 Ti is a massive jump up from the 2060 that was in this build before, and should allow me to get some 4K gaming done over the next couple of weeks. What I would absolutely love is that limited edition Cyberpunk 2077 2080 Ti to do an entire theme build around. Like, I have a rare yellow Corsair 780T that would just be perfect for it with some mods. But I know those cars are pretty much impossible to get a hold of, so I haven't even asked. But yeah, the hardest part of getting this vertical mount in the case wasn't actually cutting the case, but it was actually getting the thing plugged in. You have to pre-install the card into the mount because you can't get to the PCIe screws for the mount installed in the case first, and this means you have to try to get your hand in between the card and the cooler to get the ribbon cable into the slot, and it's not difficult exactly, it's just really fiddly. But this is how the mod looks once the GPU installed. I think I did a pretty good job, honestly. Next up is memory, and originally I was going to go with my Team Group T-Force Excaliburs, as they look absolutely amazing and they would have complemented the Duke 2080 Ti so nicely. But now that I'm using the Founders Edition GPU, I'm thinking of going with these Aurora sticks instead. The pattern across the top of the DIMMs matches the frosted fans really well. I do only have 16 gig of 3200 MHz of this AOROS memory though, but it is easy enough to swap out memory if I decide to put in a faster or larger kit. And then lastly, the final step is cable management, which I have been doing throughout the build, but it's always good to see what sticks out as something that can be improved. This time it's the PCIe cables. I don't like them running down here, so I'm thinking that this grommet would work out better. I don't really care what the back looks like, honestly, as long as everything looks good through the window. So this is everything installed and ready to go. I think it's looking really good. Vertically mounting a GPU really does make all the difference. Now it's time to get the BIOS updated and sort out the lighting. Updating the BIOS was really easy. I just put a USB stick with the BIOS file correctly named on it into the USB port marked BIOS, and then held down the BIOS flashback button for 3 seconds. The light flashed for a few minutes and then stopped, letting me know that everything was good to go. So this is the build completely finished. Now, I have a question for all those RGB haters out there, and I'm not talking about people who prefer dark theme builds, which is, perfectly fine and understandable. I'm talking about those people who actively seek out components that don't have RGB and then call their builds the non-RGB build or something like that. My question for those people would be, what's wrong with this build? Because the only problem that I personally have with this build is the lighting in it that's non-RGB controllable, like the GeForce RTX logo on the GPU. I can only assume that RGB haters like the green lighting on this card. Why would you want to go back to a time when you're stuck with whatever colour lighting manufacturers choose to give you, rather than just having full control of it yourself? RGB isn't about rainbows, it's about customisation, and more customisation is always a good thing. Although, to be fair, I do like my past rainbow a little from time to time. So yeah, I hope you liked this video. If you did, please hit the like button. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already and you want to see more of my videos, like my water cooling build coming along, because I only put this together whilst I'm working on that. I really hope that you and your family are safe and well. Thank you so much to my incredible patrons. And thank you all for watching.